Let's pivot to another team that has been making a lot of changes in recent years and we thought was going to be better than they are so far this season. The Cleveland Browns, 2-4 at the bye. We've danced around this a little bit, but let's focus for a couple of minutes, Chris, on what exactly is wrong with Baker Mayfield. He led us to believe, based on his performance last year, he's on his way to being on the short list of franchise quarterbacks. Now, bottom of the middle of the pack at best. What do you think is wrong with him?
There's a few things. I mean, definitely a sophomore slump of sorts. You've heard me say, and this is something, as I get into my film and watch all that, where there's some mechanical issues just as far as pure throwing goes, to where I go, they need to be cleaned up. Sometimes extra little steps in his drop or gathering to throw the football, put yourself, his feet aren't always in alignment to where he should throw, or we wanting to hit a target. That's been an issue. You've heard me also say there's been a little too much of like a reaching back for more, like, hitting it 300 yards down the middle of the fairway wasn't good enough. He wants to go 375, and he just doesn't need to. And I think it has caused some errant throws. Last week, in that game against the Seattle Seahawks, all 3 interceptions were his fault. 2 were off-target throws that were behind the targets. The other one, he threw the ball before Odell Beckham Jr. even came out of the break, and a linebacker had run into Odell Beckham Jr. He had almost just taken for granted that he was going to be there. So he is going through some stuff right now. And offensively, I still think they're trying to find their way as well, Mike. And I think that's kind of, flowed over into some bad decisions and bad play by Baker Mayfield.
And I think part of this is that Freddie Kitchens now as the head coach isn't working as closely with Baker Mayfield as he was.
Yeah.
I think the offensive line stinks, and it's one of the reasons why the Browns have been linked to Washington tackle Trent Williams, who may or may not be traded the next 13 days. And I just feel like, I don't want to be influenced by the resentment that others have of Baker Mayfield, that he's kind of too big for his britches. But
yes.
I just wonder whether he has allowed any of his success and the interest in him off field. And you look, almost every other commercial, it's like, when did Baker Mayfield become Peyton Manning? There, he's in this commercial, he's in this commercial, he's in that commercial. I just wonder if he's lost that pissed off chip on the shoulder fire. Has he softened a little bit? Because he's kind of, he's reached the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And even though he's still got a lot more climbing to do to truly be at the top of the mountain, he's at a nice little plateau now where he's arrived. And has he lost sight of the things that he needs to do to keep climbing?
It's easy to do that, and again, only he's going to really know that. But I just would be shocked. He's shown us nothing to be like that. And I revert to just things I've heard, what I witnessed in training camp this year, where he decides not to talk to the media because his practice didn't go the way it wanted to. So he was like, I was told this is something that goes on regularly. Like when he is not impressed with the way he performed or practiced, he goes into like the dungeon and tries to fix the problems and wants to grind and do things like that. So I do think that, he has set himself for extra criticism because he is doing commercials like he is Peyton Manning, and he's not that yet. But also, you mentioned they're not a good pass protecting team. They're a good run blocking team. And, again, the Seattle Seahawks, they ran the ball on Seattle last week. Nick Chubb had over 100 yards. We've seen them be able to do that. And I think that still is the one area I'd like to see them get back to. They were at their best last year when Baker Mayfield was underneath the center and they ran play action pass, and it got him away from the line of scrimmage to where he could see and the vision was better and everything like that, because his size has become a little bit of a talking point too. There's too many times where he abandons the pocket because I'm not sure he can see, and I want to go, no, buddy, you got to hang in there. You got to step up in the pocket. You're not going to be able to run outside the right side here. This is not the Big 12 where no defense end ever goes to the NFL. These guys in the NFL are there, and they're superstars and freaks of nature, and he's got to kind of readjust the way he's playing and approaching the game right now.
We've talked about this before, too. He looks a little puffy. He looks like he's put on some weight, maybe to deal with the wear and tear of playing quarterback at the NFL level. But if that takes away any of your burst, that may make you more likely to get out of the pocket more quickly because you're thinking, man, I'm not as fast as I was when I was 10 pounds lighter, if he has gained 10 pounds. But he does look a little thicker than he was last year. And quarterbacks from time to time, they wrestle with that. What's the right weight for a quarterback? Do you want to give up some of your speed?
Right.
Or do you want to have a thicker coat of armor so you can be protected against injury?
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.